Okay, this video now shows you how to do stage 1 for the inner critic pattern. But first, once you've finished with the intro stage and you get here, you can see that we're now in stage 1 of the 5 stages, but actually we haven't actually entered stage 1 proper yet. So let me actually just go through and outline what the 5 stages are. These go across here, but they're also listed. So stage 1 is where you actually explore the inner critic pattern and its underlying dynamics. Stage 2 is understanding the childhood origins of your inner critic pattern and possibly healing them. Stage 3 is exploring the self-esteem capacity, which is the healthy capacity that replaces the inner critic pattern. Stage 4 is working through fears and other motivations behind your inner critic pattern. And stage 5 is setting up a real-time practice at home to activate the self-esteem capacity in your life instead of the inner critic pattern. Now, each of these stages excuse me, involves a step sequence, which is, remember in the intro stage, there was a sequence of 5 pages or steps. And each of these does too. So stage 1 has a series of steps, and when you finish that, you go back and you go into stage 2 and do that series of steps, and so on. And most of the stages, or in fact all of them except stage 4, produce a report, so that compiles all the information that you've entered during that stage. And so with stage 1, you will actually get your inner critic report. So now I'm actually going to begin with stage 1. So I'm going to click next. Oh, by the way, let me just, before I do that, so notice that the 5 stages are listed across here. So stage 1, inner critic pattern, stage 2, childhood origins, stage 3, self-esteem capacity, stage 4, working through, and stage 5, self-esteem practice. And you can actually also click on these if you want to jump around to a different stage. But let me go back to here and click next to begin with stage 1. Okay, and this is the beginning of stage 1. And if you want, you can actually read a user's guide, but I think this video will do just as well. And then when you're ready, you actually click here to actually begin stage 1. And now you can see over on the left side, whereas in the intro stage there were 5 steps, here there are like probably around 10. And you can see the first one is behaviors. So when you get here, so this is a way of exploring in more detail how your inner critic pattern operates and how it affects your life. So in this case, this deals with how you judge and demean yourself. And so you will check off whichever of these fit for your particular inner critic pattern that you're working on. And by the way, if you have more than one inner critic pattern, which most of us do, you'll be focused, as you're going through this one, you'll be focused on one of them. One inner critic part, that is. If you have more than one. I shouldn't say more than one pattern, I meant more than one part. So here's some of the things that might be related to your inner critic pattern. I try to do things perfectly. I set very high standards. I work hard to fit in so I won't be rejected. I have to meet a sense of rightness. So on and so on. You just click whichever of these fit for this particular inner critic and how it affects you in your life. And of course, like other things, you can always add your own if some of the important things here aren't on this list. Then we go next. And now, since we're basing this on IFS, your inner critic, the inner critic you're working on is actually a part of you. It's an IFS part. It's actually a protector. So here you're going to choose a name for the part that for this particular inner critic part. And here's a bunch of them. And you can also, if none of these fit, you can choose your own. And you may have an intuitive sense of what this part should be called. So if it's not on the list, just click here and type in your own name. I'm going to leave it as the bully for now. And if you actually know enough IFS to go inside and ask your inner critic part what it would like to be called, you can do that. This explains that here. And this also explains that you can change the name of your inner critic part at any time in the future. You just come back to this page and click something different. Okay, so now we've done that. We'll click Next. And now you choose an image of what your inner critic part looks like. So here's a bunch of possible images, a bunch of clip art images you can choose from. You can see here I've chosen one here. You can actually even choose more than one if you feel like it. Or if none of those fit, you can click here to search Google Images and download an image to your computer that really fits for you, and then click here to upload that. Then you choose that file, upload your selection, and your whatever file you found off the internet will end up in your inner critic report. Or if that doesn't work, you can type in a description of the image. If you can't find something that matches it and you've got a very specific image in your head, you can type in a description of it here. And the same thing, you can change the image at any point if you'd like. Okay, now the next page is your inner critic thoughts, or you can think of it as statements made to you, made by your inner critic part. So what do you hear your inner critic part saying? You're so deficient, don't even attempt that. Who do you think you are? You're not worth the effort. You're stupid, you're inadequate. So, you know, there's a long list of nasty things that your inner critic might say to you, and if this list doesn't capture them all, then you can add your own. Okay. And then one more thing, and that is that when you're getting in touch with your inner critic, there is actually another part that's related to it, which we call the criticized child. That's the part of you that actually feels the brunt of your inner critic's attacks. And so those feelings will be different from what goes with your inner critic. And sometimes you will get in touch with these as you're exploring your inner critic. And so you can, when your inner critic is attacking you, judging you, doubting you, shaming you, whatever it's doing, what are the feelings that this brings up in you, which would be from this, what we call the criticized child, which is an exile in IFS. And so does it make you feel inadequate, or like you're lazy, or like you're a loser, or so on and so on? These are both feelings and obviously negative beliefs about yourself. So you check off whichever of these you end up feeling as a result of attacks from your inner critic. Now there is, and then when you finish that, you click Next, and there's more to this stage 1, but that will be covered in a future video.